you didn't exactly ruin it, but we're keeping the clickbait. And let's jump right in to how this affected my heel flips and then get on to an overall review of the shoe. So, the reason that it affected my heel flips is this bulky heel, as you can see, that's sort of your standard like cross trainer style shoe. So what happens with this is, and I noticed it immediately as soon as I put these on, was that this bulky heel kind of bangs your heel flips around and you have to change your form a little bit. So take a look at these heel flips. So if you look carefully, what happens is this bulky heel kind of gets in the way and it catches the board and makes your heel flip kind of go inwards and down a bit. So the workaround to this is you actually have to sort of try to do like a 5-degree frontside heel flip and then it levels out just right. So it was annoying, but not enough to condemn an entire shoe. And for those who are subscribed, you may be wondering why I'm doing a second review of this. And no, I did not get a call from Nike in the middle of the night, and no, Nyjah did not leave any hate on my channel. But what I realized was that I did a pretty biased review of these, and I glossed over the good points while overemphasizing some of the negative points. And I like to make sure that I'm pretty even on my reviews and cover everything. So we'll get into how I figured out I was biased at the end of the video, but first we're gonna serve this up like an open-faced turd sandwich with the turd up front and the bread on the bottom. So quickly we need to take a look at this shoe. Now what it's got is a neoprene sock inside a rubber exterior with what they have claimed is a vulcanized cupsole hybrid, all wrapped up in a sleek cross-trainer design. So the neoprene, in my experience, absorbs a lot of sweat and takes a long time to dry out. For example, I've skated heavily in these, they've been really wet, and then the next morning I go to check on them and they're still wet. And as a result of this, I myself found these shoes getting pretty funky pretty quick. Next, let's get into this rubber top. So, while being very durable, the other thing it is it gets really hot. And we have right now a beautiful blistering summer day. And when you're sitting, taking a break from skating and the sun's beating down on the top of your foot, it actually gets noticeably hot, hotter than any other shoe I've worn. Like you can feel this just pressing and heating up your foot in a pretty uncomfortable way. So it's very hot. Next, let's get into these little lace things. So they've got these, oh, they had some weird name and I looked it up, but they've got these little lace holders in here that you're supposed to have your laces wrapped around. And I, for some reason, didn't. But you know what? They like to poke out here, like so. I don't know if you guys can see that. And it gets pretty annoying trying to stuff those back in, they just keep coming out. Next, let's get into the vulcanized cupsole hybrid. So, this is a cupsole. And if you wanted to claim that it's a hybrid, I would say 75% cupsole, 25% hybrid. Now, I can't actually see where they get the right to claim that it's different because it generally kind of looks like one piece to me. It also has the board feel and flick of a cupsole. So let's get into board feel. When I first got on these, I was coming off of an Adidas Match Court, which has insane board feel and is insanely grippy, and these were not. Now, as they've gotten older, the grip has gotten a little bit better and the board feel has gotten a little bit better. And what I'm learning is that is kind of standard for a lot of cupsoles. So I call cupsole on this design. Next, let's get into the insole. So it has this tiny, flimsy, real little insole, which actually is pretty good for board feel. If it had one of those really thick insoles, I don't think you'd feel the board at all. The other thing is because it's so flimsy, it likes to ride up to the edge of the shoe, and that makes it sort of curl up here and bunch up. And that wouldn't be a problem if the shoe had a little bit more room, but it's incredibly snug, especially slim around the toe area. So much so that, take a look at this. I don't know if you guys can actually see this raised bump right here. So that shape didn't used to be in the shoe. Can you get it at that angle? What that is that's actually my pinky toe kind of like melting and forming into the rubber shoe. So it used to be smooth and flat, and there's my pinky outline, and that's how snug these are. And I don't have a particularly wide foot. I have a pretty medium foot with a skinny arch. So it also looks like it has the potential to break laces. I haven't broken them yet, and I don't break laces that fast, but there it is. And there's also a split right here. The rubber's starting to split. Not the end of the world, I don't notice it at all, but it just means it's gonna tear eventually. So lastly, and for me, biggest in the turd department, yet the least consequential, is the style. I find it a little bit disappointing that one of the most unique and innovative skate shoes also has one of the most boring and generic designs. So the downsides is that us skaters have to go around looking like a bunch of jocks. And the upside is that all the jocks get to wear skate shoes. So I actually think that this was intentional, and I think Nyjah and Nike designed a shoe that was going to have the potential to cross over into a broader market. So very smart on their part that they can get a bigger consumer base. Okay, now that I have thoroughly bashed the shoe, let's get into what's good about it. First and foremost, I think this rubber is an incredibly durable material. I think that's what's going to appeal to most people, is I believe that these are going to be a very long-lasting shoe. So while they are expensive, it's actually going to be good value for money. Now next on the list, and actually more important to me, but not everybody's cup of tea, is it appears that there are no animal products in this shoe. So it is a vegan shoe, aside from the fact that Nike may or may not use animal-based adhesive. So I do think that this is cutting-edge technology in making a durable, potentially vegan skate shoe. So good on them for that one. So next, another important one I glossed over is they are really comfortable. Like very, very comfortable. They have a lot of padding, they really hug your foot. For people with a wide foot, they're gonna be too narrow. But for somebody like me, it's actually very comfortable. Especially when I've been skating a lot of slim shoes like match courts and blazers and old schools. Very refreshing to have such a padded, comfortable shoe on my foot, yet it still is pretty sleek. Next, let's get into the flick. So, like a cup sole, I found that I had to turn my foot over more to find the flick in these shoes, but I personally found this material have pretty good catch for a good flick. So once I actually put the concentration in to turn my ankle over more and give it a little more emphasis on the flick, I find these do actually have a very good flick. So another claim on these shoes is that they don't need to be broken in. Well, I disagree with that a little bit, but they didn't have to be broken in for very long, and the plus side is they seem to be getting a bit better with age. The sole also appears to be pretty durable for something with so little surface area. Alright, that's been a whole lot of talking, let's get to the skating. I almost forgot to note, in terms of durability, this is about 4 weeks of wear. So this is going to be about on average with most shoes with a toe cap. In terms of shoes that are suede or leather, I think this is far better durability. I'm just starting to get a little hole after 4 weeks. Okay, so there you have a more balanced opinion of the Nyjah Nike Free, whatever the heck you call it. Anyways, so why did I redo this review? Well, there's a few reasons. One of them was I think I quickly put out a fairly biased review because I was feeling a lot of pressure to put out product reviews. And this happens a lot because I have a huge backlog of stuff. And it's funny that I should be feeling pressure because I'm just some dude that does this in his free time. I mean, the biggest benefit that I get is I've been starting to get a lot of products from viewers and also from companies as well. But the downside to that is I have a large backlog and I feel a lot of pressure to put out more reviews and get on to the next thing. Also, I may have been a little moody that day, and it wasn't until after I posted the negative review that I saw how many people actually really liked this shoe and realized that I really glossed over its good points. And third, but most important, what I've learned is that I've been skating vulcanized shoes for so long that I've forgotten what cup soles feel like. So these are the new Supra Elevate Spencer Hamilton, and these are a very traditional cup sole, and I skated these for half an hour. and I noticed that these are going to take some time to break in. I don't have good grip and board feel yet. I'm still working on finding the flick, and what I realized is I just don't remember how cup soles skate. And people often ask me for a cup sole versus vulcanized review, and I haven't done one yet because I simply don't know enough about cup sole anymore. I haven't been paying attention long enough. So, my preference for vulcanized shoes led me to give a biased review of what I believe is actually a cup sole. And my bias was based on my preferences, not the actual facts of the shoe, and not taking into account that some people actually prefer cup soles. So, that's why I've redone the review. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it useful, and see you guys in the next video. God, I say that every time. I don't see you. Still staring at the lens. Nothing's changed. You're not there. You're on the internet.